How's it going, you guys? So in this video, I'm just going to give my own perspective on the underlying causes of cancer. Now, I will definitely admit I am not a medical doctor. I thought about becoming a medical doctor, but the reason why I'm not a medical doctor and why I never chose that path is because a medical degree simply gives you the permission to prescribe medical treatments, and the entire education of a medical doctor is surrounding medical treatments. That's why they call them medical doctors. That's why they call it a medical degree, because they're studying medical treatments. And their entire purpose is not to find the cause of a disease. Most have no clue about even the diseases that we know have, very clear causes, such as heart disease and diabetes. There are a lot of doctors that actually understand the root cause of those two diseases, and they treat them through nutrition and lifestyle factors. But it's very rare for you to go to a general practitioner and just get treated through natural means. Okay, all that they really know is medicine, medical treatments, etc., etc. For the most part. Okay, most of them, not all of them. A lot of them treat with nutrition. Anyway, the point is, I have no interest in becoming a medical doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm not suggesting anybody do anything or to believe what I'm saying or anything like that. I'm simply giving my own theories and my own opinions. So what you choose to do with your health is 100% your responsibility. It is your choice, and only you and your medical professionals know what's best for you, not me. So with that being said, I will continue on to express my ideas here. Now, this video is a little bit different because I'm actually going to be reading off of an outline that I literally just created in 5 minutes, just to keep myself on track, because I get really detailed in my talks, and a lot of people don't have the attention span required to follow along with these details. So they leave comments saying to get to the point and blah blah blah, and to which I reply, go back to middle school. Anyway, here we go. So there are many different types of cancers, right? It's a common belief that most cancers have that most, like all the varieties of cancer are completely different diseases. However, cancer is cancer. Just because it's in a different body part and it spreads differently and has different symptoms associated with it, does not mean that it has a separate cause. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's a separate disease. Okay, the creation of tumors, they all have pretty much the same mechanism. It's just, again, because medical doctors, their entire purpose is to prescribe you treatments. The symptoms associated with different cancers, depending on the body part, are going to be very different. If you have cancer in the mouth, you're definitely not going to have the same symptoms as somebody with testicular cancer. So doctors, they want to prescribe you, for example, if you have cancer in the mouth, some type of pain relief cream or something of that nature, something to help the symptoms of that area that is affected. And that is why they try to say that different types of cancer are different diseases and blah, blah, blah. That gives no benefit. That has no productive benefit towards finding the cause and actually understanding the disease. What that has a benefit towards is prescribing treatments to help patients deal with the symptoms. And that's fine, okay? That's a great thing, because a lot of people don't know where to start, and they would suffer deeply without medical treatment. So that's a good thing. As far as helping people deal with the symptoms, not a good thing as far as helping people deal with the root cause. It's very important for you all to understand why so many medical doctors or so many people have this common belief. Pretty much everyone in the modern science community has this belief that they're completely different diseases. It is because of the model in which they perceive the treating the disease and their whole entire idea on physiology and health and diseases in general. Okay, so there's two distinctively, significantly different types of cancer as far as what causes them to, in the first place, or what causes them to grow. Because technically, cancer cells are actually very common. It's just a matter of fact. It's just a matter of it's just the fact that the human body actually does a great job of recycling cells or cell turnover, turning over cells, methylation, etc. Creating apoptosis, basically creating new cells. So essentially you can think of it as cancer cells usually recycle, okay? So a lot of people live with cancer or have cancer multiple times during their life, is a common idea. And we just don't ever know it because our body recycles that cell. Apoptosis, it causes cell death, and it creates healthy cells in the place of those cancerous cells, okay? So we may have cancer and never know it. It's just that the tumor doesn't grow out of control. The cell doesn't grow into a tumor. It doesn't grow out of control to the point where you need medical treatment, okay? And so our body is supposed to recycle those cells, all right? So, but there's two different reasons why cancer cells might grow sporadically out of control. And this is only our current understanding based on, well, for one, mechanistic data. For two, looking at what type of drugs and foods and what different compounds, you could say, actually cause cancer cells to start to grow out of control. We know that in the case of breast cancer, prostate cancer, uterine fibroids, testicular cancer, but especially prostate cancer and breast cancer, we know that this is primarily hormonal in nature. At least the people who actually understand how physiology works in response to epigenetics. We know that in the case of prostate cancer, it's significantly correlated with androgens and DHT levels in the male's constitution. Okay, so typically men who have higher DHT levels compared to free testosterone, or even imbalances with estrogen and estradiol and estrogenic byproducts. But we know that prostate cancer is directly related to that entire spectrum of male hormones, okay? And typically people who have common bouts of prostate inflammation, prostatitis, inflammation of the prostate, they're at much greater risk for developing prostate cancer. Another interesting thing is men with male pattern baldness, okay? This is also directly correlated with prostate health and DHT and hormones associated with it, as well as inflammation in the prostate. People with male pattern baldness tend to have imbalanced serum levels of DHT compared to testosterone and estradiol and estrogenic byproducts. And they also have prostate problems. So they have prostate problems, imbalances in their androgens, as well as male pattern baldness. We know that there's some kind of relationship between all this. And for me personally, I actually did deal with prostate issues for quite a while, actually, about a year or two, and I had to address that using medicinal herbs and also paying attention to anything that could offset my hormones, such as, well, let's just leave that out of this conversation. But essentially, I actually solved that issue, and I no longer pee 7 times per night, thank God. that was bad, and that's very common with people with prostate issues. Now, will my hair grow back? I don't know, but that's not really relevant to this conversation. We're talking about cancer. Okay, so the point here is that prostate cancer is directly related to hormones, androgenic hormones to be specific. We also have a lot of data that suggests a relationship between breast cancer and also uterine fibroids and excessive levels of estrogen, or just imbalance of hormones, of female hormones in general. Okay, I can tell you for sure, I've noticed it's very common for women around menopause to develop problems of the uterus, cysts, even polycystic ovarian syndrome, issues with their ovaries, and uterine fibroids are a big one. And also just strange nodules in random places also seem to develop, which is very concerning to me, at least. And then breast cancer. Breast cancer is another big one that seems to happen around the time of menopause. Okay. Also, I've noticed women that get on birth control. Now, there's different types of birth control. I've noticed the birth control that seems to raise progesterone. And let's get one thing straight here, okay? Birth control is steroid. It is a steroid. It is a prohormone. It is encouraging an increase in hormone production, or at least manipulating hormone production in some way, okay? I don't care what you call it. I don't care what your doctor told you. The fact is, any kind of exogenous hormone, and that's what birth control is, people. It's crazy that people don't understand this simple thing. Exogenous hormones, okay, that's normally what we consider steroids, okay, and steroids for pain relief, the corticosteroids. That's an exogenous hormone. That's, testosterone, that's an androgenic hormone that men take to increase athletic performance, and some women do too. Progesterone, a lot of birth control is progesterone based. It's a prohormone, it's a steroid. Now, they all have completely different mechanisms in the body. My point is, you have to understand this is literally an exogenous hormone, okay? A lot of people seem to be asleep to this idea. It's a fact, actually. It's not an idea, it's a fact. So birth control is an exogenous hormone. It is a steroid. And what happens is, no matter what your condition is, right? Like I know a lot of women, they have irregular periods, or they have like polycystic ovarian syndrome. And then their doctor puts them on like a pro-estrogen increasing birth control. They put the girl or the woman, a lot of times they put teenage girls that are like 13, 14 on birth control to try to solve their hormonal imbalance, right? Their heavy periods or whatever. And the thing is, for a short period of time, this might actually solve their symptoms. But the longer that you keep a exogenous hormone in the body, the harder it gets for the body to naturally regulate its hormones on its own. It's the same negative feedback loop that happens with anabolic steroids. It's just crazy that people don't see this. And it's really sad, because girls who could have done other things, to solve this issue, their hormonal imbalance, they get put on birth control, and then they're convinced because their doctor told them that it's solving their problem it's solving the problem. And then over time, it actually causes more problems. And one of those problems is cystic acne is a big one. Ovarian cysts, ovarian fibroids of many kinds, breast cancer, weight gain, pain conditions, intestinal problems, and nausea is a big one. And I've met many women and girls, throughout my lifetime, different family members and friends, And I've observed it online with different people's experiences. I've seen it in the medical literature. Of course, it's 50-50, of course. Point is, I'm telling you right now, birth control and hormonal treatments of many kind are a huge contributing factor to breast cancer, to uterine issues such as fibroids, which is technically a tumor. They're technically tumors. They're just not possibly. They're probably not going to spread, supposedly, right? So here's the thing. Let's sum this up here, okay, without getting too deep into this, right? Breast cancer, prostate cancer, uterine fibroids, testicular cancer, and the list goes on. Anything associated with an endocrine gland, right? The thyroid cancer, people who get radioactive thyroid treatment, people who get surgeries on any of these things, like these diseases of the endocrine system, hypothalamus, pituitary cancer, like these are looked at by the body part rather than the mechanism in which it's being influenced. And that's why no one can ever find the cause. They can't prevent it or reverse it, and then they're dumbfounded when the problem happens. It's very sad. These are hormonal cancers. In order to address these, you must identify the underlying dominant contributing factor, okay? You must remove that underlying factor, and then you must completely revamp every aspect of your diet, lifestyle, and the products that you use to absolutely 100% benefit the health and well-being associated with the underlying cause. So somebody who has breast cancer, I mean, you want to think about, have you had a child recently? Have you, because a lot of times the hormones associated with pregnancy may or may not actually get filtered out from the body. Let's just put it in layman's terms, like it should. And so women can have longer lasting hormones that are left over from the pregnancy that just don't go away, and they promote the growth of tumors in endocrine areas of their body. Organs, parts of the body that are associated with pregnancy, right? That are associated with female hormones. Prolactin is another hormone that is extremely important because higher prolactin increases lactation of the breasts, and its antagonist is dopamine. So higher dopamine actually decreases lactation of the breast. So, and too much prolactin could possibly cause tumors of the breast. So you must try to identify, think anything that messes with hormones and in the years leading up to your cancer. What were some of the hormonal factors that you went through the years leading up to those symptoms of tumor development, etc. And I haven't even gotten into the spreading of cancer yet and why it spreads to different parts of the body. Okay, but I'll get to that in a second. So other cancers, right? So the first one was hormonal, right? That's one significant box that we could put those diseases in because they have a different cause than others. But hormonal imbalances could probably contribute to other types of cancers too, especially if you get on chemotherapy and radiation. Chemotherapy and radiation, in my opinion, is a independent cause of tumors in other parts of your body. That's my strong feeling here. Because I've noticed people tend to do much worse once they get on treatment. And I'm not saying that, the treatment could be very successful in some cases, especially with surgery, right? If you, sometimes chemotherapy might be able to zap the tumor out of existence, but the important thing is to find the underlying cause or it'll keep coming back, right? And then it doesn't help that chemotherapy and radiation decrease your body's immunity to cancer cells. You're trying to kill the cancer cells with exogenous treatments like radiation. And these exogenous treatments like radiation and chemotherapy actually make it harder for your body's natural defense mechanisms to fight off that cancer to begin with. And that can actually promote the growth of tumors. So it's like you kill one tumor and then you get tumors elsewhere. To me, that just doesn't make too much sense. But at the same time, depending on the cancer, depending on the person, depending on your mindset and your ideas and your approach and perspective on all this, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people think that alternative treatments are deadly and that you have more of a successful chance of defeating a cancer through modern medicine, radiation and whatnot. And they're like scared. They're like, if somebody does an alternative treatment and dies, they blame it on the alternative treatment. And they say, you would have survived if you did like modern medicine. But a lot of times people die no matter what they do. So, and yeah, the burns and stuff that are associated with radiation. I know a lot of people that went through radiation, they said they regret it because they were going to die anyway. And they're suffering more because of the treatment. So it's really, really hard. And, it's a hard situation. So I'm not telling anyone what to do or what not to do. I'm giving my ideas on these. So other cancers. Oxidative stress associated with the area of the cancer site, right? There's many things that I can talk about that probably contribute to other cancers. And when we say other cancers, this could be a lot of different things. Bone marrow cancer, colorectal cancer, cancer of different parts of the respiratory system, oral cancer, a brain cancer. But this one will kind of like give a general overview of pretty much every other cancer, right? Because there's other things to talk about depending on the cancer. But other cancers, oxidative stress associated with the area of the cancer site. So oxidative stress. A lot of people have heard of inflammation, and everyone talks about inflammation being the cause of illness and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, inflammation is not the beginning of this process. Inflammation is actually it's a repair mechanism from the body. Like when you cut yourself, the cut is the oxidative damage. It's the oxidative stress. It's oxidation. When you cut yourself, you're damaging your wrist, you damn emo. So when you cut yourself, you cut your skin, you're damaging the skin, right? Well, inflammation is actually the redness, the puffiness, the swelling that occurs to heal that, okay? That's blood and circulation rushing to the site of injury to help heal the injury. So inflammation is not a cause of disease, it's actually a healing mechanism. The damage is the cause, and inflammation is a response the body does to help benefit it. It also causes pain, possibly to keep you from touching it and infecting it with bacteria of some kind. So it's damage. It's oxidative stress, oxidative damage, oxidation, free radicals. Whatever you want to think of it as, damage is what it is. So repeated damage over and over again to an affected area will cause diseases. And let's keep in mind, dis-ease, it's like a feeling of not being easy, of not ease. Like you're like, ooh, I feel a little ill. That's what you should think of dis-ease as, really. And find a way to promote ease is a good way of thinking of things. Not scientific, it's just a good philosophy to have. So repeated damage over and over again to an affected area. So in the case of cancer, we have like smoking, right? Smoking, almost immediately you can feel its damage on the lungs, right? In the respiratory system. And people generally develop extreme diseases of the lungs. Like they develop, first it starts with like asthma, wheezing. What was the other one? Was it CPOS, I think was the acronym. But they develop they develop respiratory distress symptoms. They can't breathe as much. We know like carbon monoxide and deficiency in different like oxygen and CO2. It makes it very hard to breathe. It irritates the lungs. You start to get pneumonia and other things over time. I've seen people spit up like black mucus. It's really disgusting. We can see that it causes damage. We know that we develop damage in the beginning years. In the short term, we can see that smoking causes damage to our respiratory system, damage to our lungs, right? Well, what else do we strongly believe cigarettes and smoking causes? Lung cancer, right? So we know that smoking cigarettes drastically increases the stress and the damage on the lungs. Well, over time, what do you think that repeated damage for years and years is going to cause? Cancer, most likely. Is it just like, oh, like it's this magical thing, you know, just that cigarettes cause cancer or something? No, it's pretty obvious that constant damage to a certain area is going to cause cancer. Cigarettes cause lung cancer, probably because of repeated damage, oxidative stress, especially the chemicals that are in most cigarettes. You know, these are known carcinogens, and tobacco by itself has been used for thousands of years for spiritual and medicinal purposes. Not saying that it won't promote damage of the lungs. I'm just saying the chemicals that are in it, the isolated chemicals, are pretty bad, and they're known carcinogens. So anyway, I think there's like over 100 known carcinogens in cigarettes. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that damage from the smoking cigarettes causes lung cancer. So chewing tobacco. We know that people who chew tobacco, like they call it snuff or chew or whatever, people who chew these tobacco chews for years and years, I mean, for one, their oral health goes straight down the drain. Their teeth start to look like they're rotting. They get oral thrush, all sorts of crazy issues of the mouth. Gum disease, what else? Chronic ulcers of the mouth, canker sores. Right? So it's very clear that chewing tobacco damages the mouth and causes extreme metabolic stress on the mouth. Let's put it that way. What else do we know? Well, chewing tobacco seems to increase your risk of mouth cancer of various kinds over years and years and years. It's very common for people to develop cancer of the lungs from cigarettes and cancer of the mouth from chewing tobacco. And there's a lot of different chemicals and things in chewing tobacco besides just tobacco. Let's keep that in mind. Again, I'm not in favor of chewing tobacco or doing nicotine or any kind of stimulant. I'm just telling you guys, hey, think about that. So what else? Well, what about skin cancer? So, you know, there's a very common... So basically, skin cancer is directly associated with sun exposure, but it's a correlation, right? What else is correlated with sun exposure? Sunscreen, right? Sunscreen. Now, you can think of it as a conspiracy theory if you want. I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about here in this video, I can understand. It's definitely like witchcraft to a lot of people. It's way outside the status quo. But we haven't solved cancer yet, so you do the same thing over and over again, you can't expect a different result. So we kind of got to start to change our thinking of cancer if we want to solve it, right? That's probably why cancer hasn't been cured, and its cancer rates have actually been increasing over years. Prevalence of cancer. Anyway, people believe that sun exposure causes skin cancer. I believe sunscreen causes skin cancer. I also believe that lotions and other skin products promote the growth of cancer. And we do have mechanistic data that suggests, let's just put it this way. Many of the compounds that are found in sunscreen, and lotion, and all sorts of skin creams and cosmetic products and hygiene products and beauty products are considered carcinogens. Okay, they're documented carcinogens. This is a fact. And sunscreen contains a lot of these things, including just all sorts of carcinogens. But anyway, it doesn't really matter what you believe causes skin cancer. The point is whether sunscreen causes skin cancer or the sun causes skin cancer. We see a direct correlation between sun exposure and skin cancer. Well, again, what happens to your skin when you when you expose it to the sun? Well, it gets damaged, and the sun could. Sunscreen could, or the sun exposure could. Think about it. Repeated damage over time. The sun burns your skin. People, and for me, I don't have that problem, even though I'm white as hell. I can be out in the summer heat for long periods of time with no sunscreen, no coconut oil, none of that. Unless I have to have a hat though, because I'm a cue ball. And I don't really get affected. Now, if I don't have a hat on, I get blisters on top of my head. But think about it. The sun causes can cause blistering. It causes damage to the skin if you're not adapted to it. If you're not some kind of native Indian who's been out in the desert forever, or the forest, whatever. It causes damage to your skin for, if you're exposed to it for long enough. So the point is, skin cancer, if the sun exposure does cause skin cancer or does promote it, is probably the damage associated with UV radiation and a lack of melanin, or a lack of tanning, a lack of protective measures. So again, damage. It's a repeating theme here. Like, people are like, oh, like cancer, different blah blah, different diseases, blah. Look, guys, how can people not connect the dots here? How can people not see the associations here? How can we not see the commonalities and different incidences of cancer and the data we have, right? Everyone wants to look for absolute facts in each individual study, but people don't look at all the studies and compare them as a whole to each other, and then compare them to actual reality and what they see in everyday life. This is one of the main reasons why there's so much confusion amongst different ideological tribes, right, in the science community. One person believes one thing, one person believes another. People aren't looking for the commonalities between everything. They're looking for what's going to support my bias, or what does this study say is fact, right? Sun causes skin cancer, period. Instead of looking at, okay, it's correlated. Well, why would skin cancer be correlated with the sun? What factors are at play here? Well, we have sunburn. We have damage to the skin, adaptation such as tanning or a lack of it. We have creams we put on our skin to protect us from it. Maybe people barbecue a lot during the sun thing, and there's a lot of carcinogens associated with barbecuing. Lots of things to consider here that people just don't connect the dots to. It's really sad. They're missing out on a lot of very interesting tidbits. So yeah, I mean, there's other things like blood cancer, bone marrow cancer, and these things, there's a lot more to go into detail on. Colorectal cancer and other cancers of the digestive system. But I think it's very important to just think in terms of damaging, right? Typically, any kind of cancer, people experience problems with that area for a long period of time. Liver cancer, that's another one, liver cancer. What do we know promotes the growth of liver cancer? We know that alcohol is associated with liver cancer. What else do we know? Alcohol is associated with fatty liver disease. Alcohol increases your chance of scarring of the liver, cirrhosis, hepatitis. Everyone kind of agrees that alcohol can damage the liver, right? Damage the liver. That's what a lot of people say. You're gonna kill your liver with that alcohol. What else? Liver cancer. And when we're thinking of an organ, we got to think about the other organs that work in synergy with it. And in the case of the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, directly or indirectly, and also the intestines, particularly the large intestine, and the stomach as well. They're all intimately related. And hormones too, because your liver actually helps to filter out different hormones, right? And then in the case of hormonal cancers, the pituitary gland works with the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland work with your thyroid gland, and they work intimately together to maintain homeostasis or balance of the entire human physiology. They regulate hormones. They're like the master glands. But then your adrenal gland as well, and your uterus, your prostate, whatever. These are all intimately related, and that's the other thing. Like, we have doctors for the prostate, prostate specialists, and then we have like endocrinologists. We have doctors for neurological. We have doctors for each part of the body. Bone doctors. We have like liver doctors. We have brain doctors. Instead of looking at the body working together, because that's what it does. If you have liver problems, you're going to have gallbladder problems, you're going to have stomach problems, digestive problems. If you have thyroid problems, you're going to have pituitary problems, you're going to have adrenal problems, you're going to have hormonal problems. You're going to have all sorts of problems, in fact, if you have any problem with your thyroid and whatnot. And so, if you have a thyroid cancer, let's just say, it can cause all sorts of weight loss, and all sorts of weird things can happen. The symptoms might send you through all sorts of different doctors, when the reality is you have a hormonal imbalance that might be caused by a thyroid issue. Instead of addressing the root cause, we have to go to these specialists. Whatever body part is malfunctioning, we go to a specialist for that body part. If you have eye problems, you go to an eye doctor, and you treat the symptom with eyeglasses, right? Not realizing that staring through a piece of glass close up actually increases the problem. It actually, that's another thing to go into. But eyesight is not just eyes. Okay, we're talking your blood sugar can ruin eyesight. Nutrient deficiencies can ruin eyesight. Circulation problems can mess with eyesight. In fact, eyesight is an extension of the brain. A lot of people don't know that. But you go to an eye doctor, you treat the symptom with eyeglasses, right? Because you're at an eye doctor. Even though eyes are directly... Anyway, god dang, it's very hard for me not to go extremely into detail. Also because I know a lot of people, they need all of this information, so because it's a perspective thing. It's a mindset thing. People don't look at the body in an effective way to help conquer these diseases. Anyway, again, identify the underlying dominant contributing factor, remove that factor, and then completely revamp every aspect of your life. So, damaging things that cause damage to a certain body part probably increase the risk of cancer to that body part. Now, spreading of the cancer, that can have many different causes, which I'll have to talk about in a separate video. I don't believe that, just because it's the type of tumor or this or that, it's going to spread, okay? Your body is supposed to stop a tumor from growing out of control before it becomes noticeable, and most people tend to agree. Most of the data suggests our body does take care of many tumors throughout our lifetimes without us ever even noticing. Furthermore, our body should prevent the tumor from spreading. The question we should ask ourselves is why. I'm sure immune deficiencies have a lot to do with it. I bet you some people just live such a damaging lifestyle, or they do things that are just so damaging. And a lot of you might think you're living a healthy lifestyle because you do like fitness and whatnot, but a lot of these fitness gurus, they slam down pre-workout drinks and all sorts of just very toxic contraptions of supplements that we don't really even know what a lot of these things do. The human body has never really processed a lot of these things that we're consuming these days. It only makes sense for abnormal things to happen when we consume abnormal things for a human body. But the point is, we have to address the underlying cause. And most people live such damaging lifestyles that there's just so much for their body to control. I believe that pharmaceutical drugs probably contribute to a lot of cancer growth. The reason is because our body, the whole thing is balance and imbalance. If we have liver issues, what we want to do is we want to find out what's causing liver issue. For example, you have gallbladder stones, right? Find out what's been causing that. Think about your diet, your lifestyle for the past couple of years, and try to address that. And then you address the liver problem. The thing is, if you go to a regular doctor, a lot of times they'll suggest surgery or something of that nature, and then you'll have even worse problems in your gallbladder. And the gallbladder is intimately involved with the liver and the rest of the digestive system, and digesting and metabolizing fat-soluble nutrients, and secreting bile to help with digestion. So when you fuck with the gallbladder, when you remove the gallbladder, it's probably going to cause problems with every other organ and system of the body that is related to the gallbladder. Anything that requires bile to be metabolized is going to now have a problem. And so it's like solving an imbalance with more imbalance. Taking drugs to stop an organ from doing something, like that's what medical drugs really do, and that's why they cause so many side effects. The side effects are literally just what happens with the symptoms of the body trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. When you have a liver problem, there's certain processes that the body goes through to try to solve that, or in response to the liver problem. And when you take drugs, medical drugs, pharmaceuticals, to try to stop the symptoms, you're actually trying to stop the body from doing what it does in response to liver problems or an organ problem. And so that causes these problems to stack up on top of each other. And the body basically just becomes under so much stress that it doesn't know what to do. It's really hard to explain in just, a video not related to this. I'm just trying to explain to you guys that pharmaceutical drugs have a tendency to do a lot worse than the problem that originally started, and there are reasons why, and I understand the ins and outs of why this happens, and I can explain it to people in a way that most people could understand and can see for themselves. But for now, let's just leave it at all of this. If you do have cancer, seek the treatment that you feel is best, and don't listen to, a lot of people on the internet are full of crap, and the main thing is that they're suggesting cancer cures, but they don't understand how the body works. They don't understand how cancer works. They don't have at least have some kind of idea based on logic and facts, right? That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. They don't have an understanding of cancer metabolism and body metabolism and hormones and any of this. A lot of doctors don't seem to either, but you can't be following anybody's advice blindly. You should take everything you hear with a grain of salt and really weigh things up against your own critical thinking and your own common sense. Don't doubt yourself unless you're completely oblivious and don't really have much of an idea of how any of this works. It's understandable. But do what you feel is best for you. Some people are probably much better off going the modern medical route. The fact is, cancer is a very confusing disease. It is a very complicated disease. And there's a lot of shams out there. There's people out there that pretend to know what they're talking about, and they act like they have some kind of cure for cancer, but what they're really trying to do is steal your money. And that's why there's such a bad rep against natural medicine, you can call it, or alternative medicine, whatever you want to call it. people look down on it because of all the shams, all of the shills, all of the so-called gurus that don't know what they're talking about, and they're just spewing nonsense and trying to rip people off. For me, I researched this shit for years, and I just study this stuff, and I'm very passionately intrigued by it. So I just make videos for free on the internet, just to kind of like put that knowledge to use, I guess. So anyway, don't take anything I say seriously. Just take it as information, and if it makes sense to you, it does. If not, whatever. Follow your doctor's advice, and just know that this is an opinion. I'm not suggesting anyone do anything. So leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know what you think. If you've gotten this far, please let me know. That's a big achievement. It's a 45-minute video. So let me know in the comments if you actually watched this thing all the way through, or if you skipped past it, that's fine. Let me know. Subscribe for more awesome information like this, and I'll talk to you all next time.